Welcome back. And of course, this issue of illegal mining or Galamsey is a matter of national concern. And that's why every day we sit here and bring you updates on what is happening around the world. And of course, your comments, your questions, your take, all welcome via social media handles on Facebook, on X Spaces, and of course on YouTube. Now, organized labor is counting down to October 10 deadline to strike in protest against illegal mining that potentially could cripple the economy. At an emergency meeting on Tuesday, October 1, organized labor expressed frustration with government's inaction, having set a September deadline for decisive measures to be taken against Galamsey, which they argue is devastating the environment and livelihoods of many Ghanaians. My colleague Emefa Akusi-Adeti sat with the Deputy Secretary General of TUC, Dr. Kwabena Nyako, and it is what he told us.
It's just been over a day, I'd say, since you declared the intention to go on strike on the 10th of October. We'd like to find out, has anything changed at all?
Nothing has changed. So we are still in preparation to undertake the strike come 10th of October 2024.
Well, so between yesterday and today, have you seen any intention from the government to want to engage you on any form?
No, not any that I have seen. And I'm not sure any of our leaders have seen anything. They have not communicated anything personally to me. But if they have done so with other leaders, I would have been in the known.
Now, should government decide to engage in any way, are you still going to go on a strike even if they like to meet you halfway?
Okay, so we outline a number of demands. Okay, we expect that government to fully accede to all those demands. But of course, we are also a body that does engagement a lot. And we are open for engagement. At the end of the day, our objective is to ensure or to see that Galamsey, particularly in forest reserves and the water bodies, are brought to a complete halt. Then after that, we can have a discussion on the broader question of mining and its impact on the Ghanaian society, particularly on the things that matter to us, forests and water, for example.
And so you say the forest and the water, where you like as a reserve, describe as reserve, should not be touched in any way. And that's, at least if government is able to do that one, you're looking to consider or reconsider the date, the 10th of October?
Yeah, we are. But, I mean, so the objective is not merely to strike for the sake of striking. The objective is to end Galamsey.
Many have said that it looks like the period is quite ripe for strike. And so for TUC, you may have seen it as some sort of a bargaining power because you know how government really has TUC at heart. And so if you people go on strike, it will mean that they'll listen to other things that maybe you would like them to listen to. Is this a fact?
Every period is ripe for strike. And for us, one of the things we cherish most is our independence. And that independence means that at any moment in time, we independently determine the course of action we take, unaffected by what other people think. So at this moment in time, having seen all the struggles around Galamsey, and having seen how this menace is destroying our already dwindling forest reserves and water bodies, we think that this is the most appropriate tool at our disposal to force government to act and act decisively and also quickly.
Why the 10th of October?
Because we also are reasonable. You know, the law requires that for a strike, you need to give a notice of some period, 7 days. And it's to also give ourselves the opportunity to prepare for that eventual day when it arrives. We know that our unions, particularly those in the private sector, will have to make arrangements to be able to, with their employers, to be able to undertake the strike. We know there are people in sensitive sectors, they have to make arrangements, the health sector, for example. So that is the reason why we gave this period, a grace period for all this arrangement to take place.
I mean, you mentioned the private sector. This will mean that they're fully in support of the decision to strike?
So the declaration says that all workers in Ghana are being called upon to sit at home, and it includes the private sector.
Yesterday, when the NPP's Dennis Miracle Abuaji was speaking to Evans on Top Story, he mentioned that why are we creating another canker in an attempt to want to curb an existing canker? Would you say that this strike is really in the interest of Ghanaians?
I didn't listen to Dennis, but of course, we believe that this strike is in the interest of Ghana. That is why, other than that, we wouldn't have declared it in the first place if you didn't believe in it. So, of course, we know that there are consequences for declaring a strike, a nationwide one. Consequences for us as workers. And there are also consequences for the economy and for the greater Ghanaian society. We have weighed all of these consequences. So the decision didn't come to us so lightly. We are not happy trigger just triggering a strike or something. But we think that all those consequences, intended and unintended, should trigger a governmental action so that at the end of the day we all can end Galamsey to preserve our forests and also prevent the destruction of our water bodies.
Have we already sat down to have a certain arrangement with private sector, especially for the health sector as well, as it is already challenging as we have it? And then would you like to outline how it will look like? Give us a fair idea of how it will look like from this end.
So we are in any early days yet. And as you entered my office, you saw me talking to people in the health sector, for example. That arrangement, that preparation is now getting started. And I'm not in the position to tell you exactly how it will be. Also because there's not one template for all the sectors. So what happens in one sector will not be the same. But at the end of the day, we expect to have an arrangement in place that allow all workers of Ghana to sit at home on the 10th, after the 10th of, I think on the 10th of October. Okay.
Many have said that Galamsey existed so many years ago, even earlier this year or maybe late last year. You may have seen Professor Frimpone's report on Galamsey, and looking at our hotline documentary that may be brought to bear the current situation. Why are we now? I mean, you mentioned that every time is good for a strike, but Galamsey already existed. Why now?
I mean, now we are also seeing the fact that we have reached a crisis proportion. If anybody can tell me that that is not true, then that person is right in questioning our action today. And if we have reached a crisis proportion, then we just have to do what we must do to end that crisis. So when COVID hit, it was a crisis, and we invoked all the emergency powers to deal with that crisis. Now there's an environmental catastrophe that is unfolding in several parts of the country. And in many respects, its impact could be more catastrophic than COVID. And we think that now is the appropriate time, given the heightened concerns that have been expressed by all segments of society, from the unions to the church, to civil society organizations, from chiefs to everyone. We think that now is the time to act, and act decisively, just like we did with COVID, for example.
Okay. Looking at how it takes a bit of time when there's an LI and then we want it revoked, do you think that 1 week is enough for Parliament to want to sit to revoke certain policies that we think that may have not been, in good position to help us as a country in mining in reserves that we don't want? Do you think this 1 week given government is in order?
I'm not a legal person, but I also know that in invoking emergency powers, you can do it and later get to Parliament. So you don't need to do the other way around. But I mean, just come to think of it, that as far back as 2001, when civic action, people were already talking about illegal mining, there was a conscious attempt to prevent mining in forest reserves. Then in 2017, government and the president put its presidency online to fight Galamsey illegal mining. And it's then become very surprising that some 2, 3, 4 years down the line, 2022, we now could pass a legislative instrument that formally allow mining in the forest reserves. It's difficult to understand why. And we think that legal or illegal, small scale or large scale, mining should not be allowed in a forest reserve, and it should not be allowed on water bodies. Now, even the big mines that are mined, they also have impact on water bodies. So they now have the capability to direct the course of water around rivers. And I think somebody, maybe from the Water Resource Commission or somebody, should be able to tell us what are the impact when those big mining companies are able to do certain things. What are the impact? I mean, just travel across the country. Our rivers are dying. And I think at this point in time, it's all about what we can do collectively to revive those rivers, but also to preserve our forests.
And so if we understand, it's not even only Galamsey. The fight is not just about Galamsey, but people who have license but are mining unsustainably, that is affecting us. Is also the fight is on all of those ones as well.
It should be. But of course, when we say Galamsey, that has become the popular word for everybody. It is already illegal, but it is taking place. But I'm raising concerns about the fact that if you have an airline, and it's one of our demands, that legally allow people to mine the forest, we think that that airline must go. It is not in the interest of Ghana. Our forests are already dwindling due to the activities of timber loggers and all of that, and also sometimes people illegally farming in those forests. But to go ahead and formally pass an airline that says that mining can take place in already dwindling forest reserves, for us is a no-no.
All right. Thank you for talking to us today. Is there anything you'd like to tell the workers as in preparation mindsets, and are there any consequences at all if anybody decides to want to not join the fight? Let us know.
I mean, workers' organization, we're a democratic organization, so we can only appeal and call on all our members to join the fight and to sit at home on the 10th of October. We will do everything to make sure that they get all the logistics and everything that should allow them to participate fully in this fight, including the fact that we will also make sure we safeguard their employment and all the things so that nobody is negatively impacted from the action that we are embarking on.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nyaku Otu. We shall be following keenly in these days that are going to be coming. Thank you.
So the call is for workers to sit at home and do not work. That's the call from the TUC on the 10th of October. And it's unclear when they will want to hold on to this, strike action. But today is just counting down. Today is just day one. Yesterday, they issued this threat to government. Government has at least 9 days to, get them to back down on this demand. If government is unable to do so, and also unable to meet the demands of organized labor, the danger here is that their action may cripple the economy. Now, the Attorney General, Godfrey Yeboah-Dame, is also asking the court to speed up the prosecution of persons arrested for engaging in illegal mining. He spoke at an ongoing conference of judges and magistrates here in Accra.
In August 2023, an anti-abortion activist who blocked access to a clinic in Washington, D.C. and live streamed the blockade on Facebook was sentenced to nearly 5 years in prison. In Portland, Oregon, an Indiana man was sentenced to 10 years in federal prison and 3 years supervised release for repeatedly and intentionally jeopardizing the lives of police officers, destroying public property, and encouraging others to commit violence during protests that occurred in Portland in 2020. Just last week, on 24 September 2024, the U.S. Department of Justice announced that more than 300 individuals in 29 states have been charged for crimes committed adjacent to or under the guise of peaceful demonstrations since May 2024. Respectfully, The lesson to be drawn from the treatment of unlawful or violent expression of free speech in the United States and the United Kingdom is that the legitimacy of the declared objects of specific protests does not matter. Whilst acknowledging the legitimacy of concerns which motivate some protests, the state must deplore and, in fact, prosecute acts of protesters which threaten the running of essential services, infringe on the right to free movement of others, or attack the safety of security forces, because such acts endanger the entire society and have a real tendency to destroy the peace of the nation ahead of the upcoming elections. I can therefore understand it when the judiciary supports the work of law enforcement officers by dealing firmly in accordance with law. All acts of violence and lawlessness, especially as we go into election 2024. We cannot take the progress Ghana has made in establishing democracy as a way of life for granted. As a renowned demonstrator myself, one of the founders of the Alliance for Accountable Governance, who in 2009 and 2010 embarked on many peaceful protests in Accra, I stand fully for the realization of the right to free expression. However, that right is always exercised subject to the injunction contained in Article 12, Clause 2 of the Constitution. That is, the public interest and respect for the rights and freedoms of others. The peace and territorial integrity of our nation at this time, 2 months before election 2024, is far greater than the pursuit of any parochial political goals, just as the right to free expression is no more paramount than the right of others to access essential services and the duty of the police to maintain the peace of Ghana. As I always say, freedom is not free. It is accompanied by serious responsibilities. And it is up to the entire nation, particularly the judiciary, to ensure that the gains and triumphs of the past remain intact for generations of Ghanaians unborn. The rule of law is fragile. The rule of law is based on people. Democracy is based on people. Thus, when a small proportion of the same people imperil the democracy we live, the institutions of justice must respond according to law. Having said this, I urge the police service to swiftly conclude investigations by the next agenda date to the cases involving the prosecution of SSs for recent protests in Accra, so as to exclude by that date all those against whom sufficient evidence cannot be found to proceed further. I also advise the prosecution to consider relevant bail applications at the next agenda date of the cases.
Well, let me bring in the convener for the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining, Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe. Doctor, you're welcome to the Pulse here on Joy News. Always a pleasure to have you here. Yesterday, this bold decision was taken by organized labor. I'm wondering whether in the last 24 hours there's been some overtures from governments on this, decision you've taken going forward.
And it was gratifying that organized labor that are part of the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey actually walked the talk and have declared the 10th of October as the day for the strike. As we speak, there's been no overtures yet, and so we are still waiting, and we are hoping, because as my colleague from the TUC said, it is not our intention, to go on a strike for a strike's sake. But when you are a people who are desperate, who are being poisoned, who are dying in the pits, food to water, you don't, this is the water that you have, where your livelihoods as fisher folks, your livelihoods as those farmers, you have a young boy who is still in KNUSA and supposed to be going back for the defense of his thesis, dying in the pits and all of that. A pregnant woman whose only offense is that she had responded to nature's call and dies in an implosion. Then you need to fight back, and you need to use whatever resources at your disposal to ensure that as a people you don't sit and get yourself poisoned and get yourself killed. So this is the action of a very desperate group of citizens who are deciding that we will take a cue from the advice of His Excellency the President, which he gave on the on the 7th of January 2017 to be citizens and not spectators.
There appears to be some connection issues there too, Dr. Kanashibwe. We'll see if we can rectify that so that we can. Yes, Doctor, please go on.
Yeah, so again, I was just saying that it's really where we've gotten to, there's been no response yet. So what we're doing is that we're trying to, as the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey, we are also mobilizing other sectors of the economy because organized labor has declared a strike. We need to ensure that various facets of the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey, that is made up of religious bodies, it's made up of business entities, made up of the research and academia, the youth groups, the traditional bodies, civil society organization, all these 10 groups. We are able to mobilize all of us so that this action will be an impactful one, and hopefully we'll be able to get a resolution of this challenge as quickly as possible.
What about the private sector? Doctor, I asked about what about the private sector?
Right. No, so you see again, so you had the TUC. The TUC has private sector members.
Right.
So there are some of the private sector people who are already unionized. So they, through the TUC structures, will be engaged. But other private sector people who are not unionized are the people that we are going to be engaging through the blocks. It is the reason why the media is going to be important. And so the call that we have for the media is that, and as you said yourself, the countdown has started. This is just day one. We need on a daily basis to respond to the call by the GJA president that we need to keep this matter on the front burner and be pushing on it, making sure that we get all Ghanaians sensitized, workers, those who are not working, various civil society organizations, churches. I know, for example, the Presby Church, for example, has asked its congregation to start wearing red.
Right.
I know of other denominations that are also planning nationwide prayer protests. So we need to, galvanize all of Ghana. And for even the media, last week, Friday, we had an emergency general meeting as Ghana Journalists Association. And our position has been taken. And you saw the president of the GJA make very emphatic points, calling on His Excellency the President to act. And so we would also be planning how we are going to also engage in this civil action whilst we still provide the oxygen that mobilizes and galvanizes all of Ghana to make sure that we get the state of emergency declared on our water bodies and the buffers, which are already illegal, and then in the forest reserves, and the revocation of LI 2462. Then once we get the president starting to act, our ask, and we've written to the presidential candidates of the NDC and the MPP, is for them to also endorse these particular actions and then also declare that when they come to office on the 7th of January, they are also going to support this action. We do not want any political party to benefit from this particular action that we are taking as citizens of this country.
Right.
So that no one the double speak, where they come into the big towns and cities, and then they come and talk about the fact that we should fight against this illegality, and they go and stand in the pit, and then they start talking about the fact that they are going to grant people amnesty, they are not going to stop Galamsey, they are going to teach people how to do the illegality well. I don't know how that is possible. So we want to make sure that we have a consensus, a national consensus about the fact that this is an illegality. It's as bad, if not even worse, than armed robbery. It's as bad, not even worse, than any other high treason crime you can see. This is ecocide. And then also our appeal to the leaders of this country is for them to realize that the UU Parliament, for example, has added ecocides to the grave environmental crimes. And so if they don't take action today, they might be on retirement tomorrow. They will be hauled to either Arusha, they will be hauled to The Hague to respond to people who sat and poisoned their own people. So it is important for all the duty bearers who have to act to take into consideration that the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey, we are not only looking at this thing from just the great action that has been initiated by by the organized labor, but we're looking at other legal means that we are also going to use. Another action that we as media were going to take is that the data that we're getting from the researchers, as we speak, there are 2 cops that are in 2 morgues, one in Bibiani, a hospital in Bibiani, and one in a hospital in Kumasi, where 2 women are dead, and the level of heavy metals that are in the carcasses are something that you cannot write home about.
And is this recent?
For example,
Doctor, I was asking, is this recent?
I'm saying yesterday. I'm telling you, as recently as yesterday, this is what is happening. There are some young boys in Bekwai, for example, who they are the people who they call the kitchen. They sit in the kitchen and they burn the amalgam of mercury and gold. They have been so poisoned by mercury that now they cannot even take food and put in their mouths. They are on very expensive medication. There are children that have been born with 6 limbs. There are a lot of spontaneous abortions happening in some of these areas. And gradually what is happening is that the scientific community are beginning to see the relationship between Galamsey and these evil, these evil things that are happening to people.
Right.
So we are going to be running campaigns. It is going to be a shock and awe. We will tell people that, some discretion will be required to be able to see some of the pictures I am seeing now. We will be showing bodies of people who have died in pits. We will be showing you taking all the ethical considerations taking all the ethics into consideration, blurring the face of all of that. We'll be showing that so that we can draw a linkage between this evil activity and the things that are happening to people.
Okay.
And because sometimes our people are not linking them. Some of these diseases happen and they think it's far-fetched. Do you know that some of them even think that when people die in the pits, that is when the gold comes? But
yes, it's been an age-old, sort of assumption people have.
Yes, completely. And it's not only just an assumption. There's one of the cases that we are working on where a 6-week-old baby was, killed, and then was taken to the Bibiani hospital. The police were involved. There's a pathologist that saw it and told them not to bury it. So what then had to happen was that when the pathologist left, somebody got them to Nicodemus go and bury. It had to take the pathologist speaking to the IGP for them to exhume the body. And when they exhumed the body and the report was done, it showed that the baby had been killed, blood had been drained. And all of that is used for these nefarious activities. And you have people who are supporting all of that. So it is important that we let people realize that this thing that we are talking about, it is not just that, labor decides that they are going to go on a strike. It is because the consequence of it is so grave on us as a country that we've not really gotten there yet. As we speak, Erastus has done some work with some scientists that even the water that is being treated by Ghana Water, all they do is to do chlorination and to do sedimentation using the polymer. The fact that the water is clear does not mean it's clean. Does not mean that you don't have heavy metals in that. So one of the actions we're also going to be doing, we're going to be writing to Ghana Water to be able for them to also furnish us with the quality of the water when it comes to the issues of heavy metal in all their treatment plants, so that as citizens, we will start advising ourselves, should we actually be drinking this water?
Okay. Few questions here, Doctor. So this course of action is as a result of government decision not to yield to the demands you made that expired at the end of September. Now, Joy FM spoke to a former Chief of Staff, Mr. Kodjom PNM, who is clear that Galamsey in any form is illegal and must be rejected. But his call is for government to engage organized labor and the coalition as soon as possible so as not to grind the economy of the country to a halt. From your side, for what I'm getting, you are ready for any kind of engagement. It is rather the other side that is reluctant to meet the demand. So this course of action, there is no going back from the way and the picture you are painting toward this afternoon. Something really must be done.
No, so you see, the committee that had been formed by His Excellency the President had reached out to the media coalition that they wanted to meet us. Our position was very clear. we were only going to meet the committee when the state of emergency had been declared. At least the moratorium had been declared over the water bodies, the forest reserve, and the buffer. So you see, at the point where you are dying, at the point where you are being poisoned, this is not the time to go and sit and talk. What are you going to discuss when your life is at stake? So the actions have to be taken. So it's not about an engagement at this point. The engagement needs to be triggered by the actions that government has taken. We're not seeing any action that the government has taken. You know, one of the ways in which the president demonstrated leadership during COVID era and galvanized all of us, it was the fact that they kept us all, going, and the president was addressing us. That fellow citizens address. Right. That's what carried everybody together.
Right.
By this time, the president should be telling us what we are doing day by day, blow by blow, so that we all can support him to make sure that we all fight and win this battle.
The last time government spoke to this matter was the announcement that the military and the police were going to be deployed in some of the regions to fight illegal. Apart from the eastern region, where we spoke to the regional minister who confirmed that in fact they've started, we are yet to see evidence of this on the ground. But this afternoon, at the ongoing Judges and Magistrate Conference, the Attorney General makes the point that there are over 800 people that have been arrested awaiting trial in our various courts. And he asked the Chief Justice to dedicate special time and special court to deal with illegal mining issue. That for you is a step, but it doesn't solve the issue we are in right now.
Oh, unfortunately, that is not a step. I can tell you that 2 weeks ago, I went to Nkoko. I was in my car. I was driving in my car. I had not left my car to go off into the bush like you are showing Erastus in the bush. You could see people by the side of the road engaged in the illegality. This is Eastern region. So, and then also there's some works that was done, after this call was made. There are still chanfans that you can even see. Some of them, you can see them from bridges. So you see the military, the call for the military, the call for the regional ministers to do anything, nothing is happening. The reason why you're not getting government to be able to report that, because no action is being taken. There are people who still are in the forest, because of what we do, people report back to us. There were people in the forest. There's one of them that happened, and it took Erastus to then alert, some authorities for them to go and drive them. So, till we take decisive steps, and the steps have to be very transparent for the criminals to know that we really are coming after them. These criminal-minded people, they will not stop. Right. And also because of the fact that this time, they're using heavy equipment. And also because of the drought, it is even making the water bodies very fertile for them. The level of the water bodies are low. So they are able to get access to it. So they are disturbing it the most. And then when you come to the issues of the 800 and something people who are in our courts, go and look at them. You will find out that it is our unfortunate brothers and sisters who are in the pits, who are mining for these people. Where is Akunta Mining? Where are the directors of Akunta Mining who were pointed out by the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources of being involved in illegal mining in the Tanonimiri Forest Reserve? How come they are not part of this 800 and or so people that have been named? How is it that Heritage Imperial, who was giving a prospecting license, and then we had gone to the EPA, and the EPA said they did not have any permits to be able to mine? How is it that they were in their mining and they had the audacity of taking Erastus to court, and in their court document they mentioned the fact that they had mining operations? How is that the Heritage Imperial and all its people are not part of these people who are being arrested? So in as much as I welcome the call by the Attorney General that we should speed up this thing, we should have dedicated courts with dedicated times, unfortunately, the root cause, the people who are behind us, the people who own all these excavators, the people who spend the monies, the people who are buying the gold, they are not amongst those people who have been arrested. I would want to be proven wrong. We would want to see the names of those who are being prosecuted to find out that those, very politically connected people, the people that you remember that the Speaker of Parliament said to our MPs, that some of them were involved in it. How many MPs have been charged? From both sides, they are all involved in it. I can tell you that for a fact, that from both sides, they are all involved. And we are doing some work Very soon we will start naming. Our lawyers have told us, stating the fact is, would excuse us from defamation. So we are going to go that particular route. All we are doing is that we are pushing together, making sure that our research teams are put together so that we have the evidence to be able to point out the fact that these are the people who are involved in it. After all, you look at the fourth estate report that was done. Who are the people benefiting from LI 2460?
Mostly politicians.
Are they not some politically exposed people? Yes. So where we've gotten to now, we are not involved in any political partisan issue. We are involved in saving ourselves from the poison, from the scourge that you're showing to us on the TV screen.
But
what kind of people are we who decide that we will do self-poisoning? Even when you poison your enemy during a war, it is considered a grave war crime.
Right.
And to the extent that now we are poisoning our people, and then our leaders are sitting aloof and allowing this to happen. This definitely cannot be acceptable.
And my final question to you, Doctor, is, the fact that this week the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources celebrated a $30 million grant by the United Arab Emirates, and the money is to be used to protect our forest cover. The same forest, we've passed a law that allow people to mine in these forests. So when you hear some of these stories,
so you see the paradox.
It makes it quite interesting.
You see the paradox. Ghana is one of the first people who will go to all of these places and sign the corps. And so one of the things that we are going to be doing is that we're going to be writing to entities like the UAE, like the World Banks and all of that, to say to them that they should not be giving money to a government that is deliberately, giving out the forest to be destroyed, that is deciding that it will not, take care of the forest that even exists. And then you are going to say you're giving them money to do what? How long is it going to take the trees to grow? So this 30 million should not be given. The World Bank also gave some money for some reclamation. How do you then take a basket and take it to the water and say you are going to fetch water and bring home? So all of those monies are being wasted. And so that 30 million that is being given to the government, it's money that has been wasted. And these are monies that we are going to be writing. We're going to be writing to these entities and say to them, don't do that. Don't give us money to go reclaiming the forest when we can prevent it. We all know that a stitch, we were taught when we were back in the primary school, that a stitch in time saves, that prevention is better than cure.
Right.
So why wouldn't you prevent? You go and destroy and then go and collect money from other people and say you're coming to fix it?
Well, I'll look forward to, the revelation that is coming from the hospitals regarding people who are dead, and the postmortem reviewed some alarming, link to illegal mining, something that I think we should share with our viewers and our listeners. So I appreciate the magnitude of the issue that we have on our hands. But thank you so much, Dr. Engineer Ken Ashigbe. And of course, this crusade is ongoing. Alan Kojoche Mantin, yesterday appearing before the IEA presidential, dialogue, had some projections or some proposals to deal with illegal mining should he win the upcoming elections.
Last but not the least, the introduction of new legislation and regulations that will impose a complete ban on any form of mining in river bodies and forest reserves. That is a complete ban. Now, again, with an associated sanctions regime, including life imprisonment for the violation of these new laws. Ghanaians, you need to get to a point where when you punish them, they'll feel the impact of the punishment. If it's just a question of 10 years in jail, the amount of money that they may be getting from Galamsey, it will not be enough deterrence. They will go in 10 years, come back and continue. So we have to be serious about how we deal with Galamsey. Another important policy intervention in the area of natural resource management is to introduce new legislation that will significantly reduce the export of raw materials from Ghana without value addition. And I've made a commitment that by 2030 in this country, if Alan becomes president, no raw material will be exported in its raw form unless there's a minimum of 60% value addition. How is it that for 100 years, Ghana has only depended on one commodity, cocoa? So we can't think beyond cocoa. And even with that, the level of value addition is only about 40%. The real value in cocoa.
So Alan Chemanten, who is the presidential candidate for the Movement for Change, was speaking at the IEA presidential dialogue yesterday. Now, let's move to another related story, because the High Court judge has adjourned the hearing of a bail application submitted by the lawyers for some of the Stop Galamsey demonstrators to October 7th, just a day before many of the protesters are scheduled to reappear in court after they were remanded for 2 weeks. Now, the decision came after a legal team member defended the demonstrators, requested a 1-hour recess to prepare and submit additional documents demanded by the Attorney General to support their argument for bail. Member of our Legal Affairs, Justice Kwaku Asante, joins me with details of the court proceedings. So, Kwaku, we understand this was done online?
Yes, Elton, this particular case today was held online via Microsoft Teams. And in fact, this case was originally held on Monday. The lawyers for the protesters had filed a bail application for at least 8 of the persons who were arrested, including AMA Governor, and they were seeking to get a court to vary the order of the circuit court not to give bail to some of those protesters. And so on Monday, when the case was heard, the original date for the return date for this case was 7th of October. That would mean that is barely a day to the protesters returning to court, because most of them were remanded until the 8th. So the lawyers for these protesters filed for abridgment of time in law. This means that we want the case to be brought forward because of certain exigencies and because of certain important matters. And so the court wanted to hear the reasons for which the lawyers were asking for this case to be abridged and the time expeditiously dealt with. The Attorney General on Monday did say that it did not have the full complement of the application, and that in fact it had been short-served, and so he wanted to take some time to study the document. The case was adjourned to today. So this morning, the court reconvened online, like you said at the top of the show, and heard the application. The lawyers did make the application that, given that the liberty of their clients are at stake, they cannot wait to the 7th of October. The Attorney General's office responded that this bail application should have included the charge sheet that spells out the particulars of the offenses that have been charged against these persons. This is a position the court largely agreed with and said that in filing this application, it should have come with the charge sheet as well as the proceedings of the circuit court that did deny this protesters' bill. That was the point that was canvassed by the Attorney General. The lawyers for the protesters wanted the case stood down for about an hour so that they could get these documents and attach it. In fact, they had earlier argued that most of these documents were already in the domain or the purview of the Attorney General. The Attorney General said it was only the charge sheet that was with them, of course, because they did file these charges against the protesters. When it comes to the court proceedings from the circuit courts and also the proceedings from the court, this is not something that they have because it is with the circuit court. And so the lawyers wanted an hour suspension of the case of a sort so that they can get these documents. They did not get that from the court. The court denied that and has now adjourned this case, the bail hearing, to the 7th of October, the original date for the case to be heard. The interesting point to note, however, is that 7th of October is barely 24 hours for these persons to appear before the circuit court again for the trial to continue, and we expect that they will make another application for bail.
And we also do understand that another group is preparing to demonstrate tomorrow.
Well, yes. In fact, the Fix the Country umbrella and a new hashtag that has been trending on social media for some time now, Free the Citizens, they're embarking on a 3-day protest, a 2-pronged approach. They are protesting to call for the government to take stringent measures to deal with Galamsey, and they are also demanding the freedom of the 54 persons who are currently behind bars for illegal mining. And they are starting tomorrow at Okonglo, the University of Ghana Stadium area, and they're going to march through the principal streets of Accra up to the Independence Square. They're going to present some petitions. The protest 3 days is going to last Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And then on Saturday evening, to climax this protest, they're going to hold a vigil. They've already put out a statement saying that the police have agreed with them on terms of the route that they have to use. We have not heard from the police since, and we expect that by close of day today, the police will communicate the agreement they've had with these protesters and the modalities for these protests. Elton.
Kokwa Santi is a member of our legal affairs DEX. Let me bring in Noah Adamte Eko, a member of the lawyers defending some of the protesters. Noah, good afternoon and welcome to the post. I trust you are doing good.
Good afternoon. Yeah, I'm doing good, and I trust you and your viewers are also doing good.
Great. What about your clients? How are they holding up in either in Sawam or in any of the police stations?
Yeah, it's not the ideal situation for them. I have had a chance to visit almost all of them in the various cells across the city, and it's not a good condition for them to be in. So I'm just looking forward to favorable decisions that will bring them home. But I've had a chance to all get in Sawam, the 11 persons who were remanded to prison custody. There are 10 of them at the male prison, then 1 person at the female prison. Surprisingly, those at the prisons are being treated better than those who are in the police custody. At least when I went there and I interacted with them and the prison officers, they have been giving good support to them, even psychological support from the prison. So they are at least being treated well. It's not an ideal situation for them, but compared to those in the police cells in Accra, they are doing better.
I'll come back to ask your reaction to what the Attorney General told the judges and magistrates today. But let me pick your reaction to what you make of the court decision today and eventually, adjourning the case to the 7th of October.
Yeah, so I was quite sad about it. Like, charge sheets and then the proceedings. On the issue of the charge sheets, like the lawyers argued in court, the state already has the charge sheets. They filed the charges against the accused person. So if the court is interested in hearing the case without the charge sheet being attached, I would have wished to see that the state will allow the matter to go on without a charge sheet. On the issue of the record of proceedings in the because it is not an appeal and it is a repeat bail in a different court, which must consider the case on, it's not fatal not to add the proceedings from the previous court. So again, I would have wished the court would have continued with it without the record of proceedings with the case, especially because the liberties of the accused person. But the decision of the court is that those documents should be made. And so we will do that and come before the court again on the 7th of October.
Right, but I don't know whether as of now, there are specific charges against individuals, because at the last time they were in court, they were not isolated in terms of the charges against. I don't know whether as lawyer for some of them, you now have specific charges against your clients individually. No, so the way the charges are formulated, although they are charged collectively, their charges are spelled out individually to them. So the charges are, in reality, the charges are specific. Okay. So for instance, if you pick one charge sheet of about 8 persons being charged, you realize that for every count of the offense, a specific number of people. Okay, so that tells you that you're being charged specifically for this particular offense. So they are not on different charge together on the same charge. Right. Offenses relate to them individually. Yes, so today, for example, now there appears to be softening of stance, especially from the Attorney General's office. The AG himself was at the Judges and Magistrates Conference, which is currently ongoing in Accra. He made 2 very instructive comments. One, asking the police and the investigators to speed up their investigation, and then those sufficient evidence cannot be established against them, they should be allowed to go free. And then secondly, also appealing to the prosecutor not to oppose bail applications that may come from people like you the next time the case is heard in court. Your reaction? Yeah, so it's great the Attorney General makes these statements, at least to show that the concerns we raised initially
at least have reached the good officers. But we need to understand the comments of the Attorney General, in my view, depicts a problem that we had raised from the onset, from the time the accused persons were arrested.
Right.
And one of them was that there are a lot of people who have nothing to do with the protest. Now, I am speaking on this issue because there is going to be another protest the next 3 days.
In fact,
and
it's
we don't want
starting
a situation
tomorrow.
where the police will arrest people, yes, to arrest people who may be at the event just to witness, or who may be at the protest but are not engaged in any illegality. If the assembly itself is lawful, then a police arrest should only be extended when persons are at the protest grounds and they are engaged in acts of illegality. The police should not be allowed to use the act of one or two persons at the protest as a reason to arrest everybody at the protest. These are some of the concerns raised initially, that there were some people who were not at the protest, but they were arrested because they were standing by watching a public event. And there are some people who were at the protest ground, but did not engage in any act of seeming illegality. So we raised these concerns, and we expected at that time that the police and then the AG department would have sat together, and then in reviewing the tapes, they would have cleared these people for them to go and be with their families. It's been a week and more since these persons were remanded to prison and then police custody. And they have suffered these unlawful encroachments on their rights as a result of this. So we have to prevent these things. So the AG's comments, we appreciate it, and it's good that it has come out, but we wish that it will set a precedent, the basis for the state will set a precedent going forward. The police should use the law in arresting people and not just arrest people in droves, so far as they've seen one person acting unlawfully at a protest ground.
Well, it's unclear the strategy the prosecution will use, or maybe whether the AG may even file a nollie prosecutor. But you, I'm sure, will go to court, with an application for bail.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that. We'll definitely do that.
Counsel,
the AG has spoken, but we are not sure that the prosecutors will go ahead with and do what the AG is saying. So we have to still go with our bail applications and ensure we represent our clients to the best of our abilities as lawyers.
Counsel, before I let you go, do you have any update for us on this pregnancy, no pregnancy matter?
Yeah, so the last time I think we heard was from her family, who were still insistent that she was pregnant. We are hoping that the records from the court and from the hospital will be made available to us, and then at least we can also conduct a good test on her to determine the reality on the ground. Whether or not she's pregnant, in my mind, it's not a really big issue in the context of this case. And the issue is, our concern is with due process. Requirements that prosecutors must comply with when an accused person is being tried. And one of them should be that if an accused person even fakes illness, there must be a test done to determine whether or not the person is actually ill. Okay, so if someone says she's pregnant, whether or not she is, the real thing that should be done is that the state will take the steps at the time the complaint was made to determine if she is pregnant. This lady said she was pregnant at the time that and sent to the police station. The state did not know about it until issues came out that she was bleeding at where they took steps to run the test. So that is in our justice delivery system. We have to make sure that when accused person says I'm ill or I'm pregnant, even if she's ascertained the true facts, so that we don't end up might actually be pregnant or actually be ill in a way that's wrong just because we think there's a possibility she is not pregnant.
All right.
Say to that issue.
All right. Counsel, thank you so much, and I hope to see you as we follow up on this matter in court on the 8th of October. This is a pause here on Joy News. We'll take a short break. When we return, we'll have the election headquarters here on the show. Stay right there. Of course, this is your election headquarters, and this is a pause here on Joy News. Now, this afternoon, President Akufo-Addo is in the Upper West Regional Capital, WA, for a stakeholders engagement as part of his campaign tour of the Upper West and East regions. The president, who started his tour yesterday, is expected to meet the clergy, Muslim clerics, chiefs, and heads of security agencies in the region. And my colleague, Rafiq Salam, joins me live from WA. So, Rafiq, President already is in town. What has he been up to so far?
president came to town, spent a couple of hours, met members of the Upper West Regional House of Chiefs. I met the clergy, the Muslim clerics, and also some community leaders in the Upper West region at the new auditorium of Yobates. The president, after interacting with them for an hour, then left and I believe that in the next few minutes he should be arriving in Accra. But let me tell you what he came to the region to do. He came to the region and his message hinged on 3 key areas. One, to thank the people of the Upper West region and by extension, the people of Ghana for giving him that mandate to be the president for 2 terms. And so he is grateful to the people of the Upper West region and the country at large for that opportunity, and also to thank them for their continued cooperation, which has made the country to be peaceful. The second reason why he was in the Upper West region was also to talk about his achievements. Having been given that mandate to reign for 7.5 years, he needed to account his stewardship to the people. And then he talked about roads that he has done since he came into office, about 5,000 road networks. And also, he also talked about the construction of a chief compound, which he penciled a peg around 4 to 1. And then also, he talked about the drilling of several boreholes for several communities for water. And then these are some of the achievements that he spoke about. And also talked about the health insurance scheme, which he said that is working for the people. And then lastly, also to tell Ghanaians that these elections that is coming, we want to reiterate his commitment to the people that this election, there will not be any underhand dealing, but that he will make sure that the will of the people is not, he will make sure that the people go out to vote in a peaceful, free, and fair elections. And then also, the will of the people will not be subverted. Then he moved on to tell the people that, you know, having been president and having 2 terms as president, he is in the best position to tell the people who should be his successor. It's up to the Ghanaian people to decide who they vote for. But for him, as President Akufo-Addo, being president for 2 terms, he can tell the people that as to who to vote for. And the name that came from the heart of President Akufo-Addo was Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the flag bearer of the MPP, who is now the leader of the MPP. He's telling them that to vote for him to continue his good works.
So President Akufo-Addo will be stepping down in exactly 96 days. What was the response from the chief, the clergy, and the other groups that he met?
You know, these are people who are not supposed to be into partisan politics. These are people who are political. And so, listening to President Akufo-Addo deliver this speech for close to about, 35 minutes, when he gets to situations that at least he speaks about certain things that the people are happy about, you see some of them nodding their heads. But I haven't seen them clapping. But they were at the other side of the hall talking about the right to the president, side of the president. You see party members, people who are stalwarts of the MPP. They were the people who were clapping for President Akufo-Addo, not members of the clergy or the chiefs in the Upper West region, also the Muslim clerics. None of them uttered a word. They kept their cards closer to their chest, and they know where they want the pendulum to swing on in their hearts. But they didn't come up quickly to clap for what the president says. A few of them, I saw them nodding, but that nodding to what the president said, but I haven't seen them clap for the president. So the mood in the Upper West region, in that hall, somehow was that of a somber. It was not all that exciting, except those people who are from the MPP, stock, who were clapping for President Akufo-Addo.
But apart from the meeting with the organized groups or identifiable groups, did you hold rallies to, talk to the people, the ordinary man on the streets of Wa?
No, the president only did a couple of hours, 2 hours, close to 2 hours in the Upper West region. He landed at the Upper West airport. From there, he moved straight to the venue of the meeting after speaking for 35 minutes, and then he left the hall. He went back to the presidential lodge in Wa. Probably that was where they had lunch, and then after that he moved to the airport. So he didn't have this personal interaction with the identifiable groups. He only came, met them at the hall, and then spoke to them. But in the opinion of many, I didn't see that kind of enthusiasm.
Okay.
When he used to come, 3-4 years ago, come as president, where you see large crowd, where you see lots of cars around. Because I think that the people are seeing him now as a lame duck president, and then also a lot of people are holding themselves away from him. So there's not much that I have seen from the people, except those people who are from the APP stock who were there.
Thank you so much, Rafik Salam, our Upper West regional correspondent from the Upper West. Let me take you to the Northeast region, where the NDC flag bearer, John Dramani Mahama, is also touring. My colleague Maswell Agbagba is embedded with the NDC campaign team, and he joins me. Maswell, where exactly are you and what is happening? So early on, we will bring in Maswell shortly, but the former president addressed a rally in one of his stops. We can listen in.
You have a farm to form agricultural cooperatives. We're going to give the support to farmers through their cooperatives, not to individual farmers. And so every center is going to have, every district is going to have a farmers service center. And so if you are an agricultural cooperative, you register with your local farmers service center. That is where you get your subsidized fertilizer. That is where you get your weedicides and pesticides. That is where, if you want a tractor to plow for you, you go and they'll bring the tractor and plow for you. That is where you get all your services as a farmer. If you don't have money at the beginning of the farming season, they'll provide you with these services on credit. And then when you harvest your crop, whether it's maize or rice or whatever, after you have sold it, the little debt that is at the center, you go and pay, so that the following year they can give you assistance again. That is how we're going to help farmers, so that farmers can raise their productivity. In addition, every region is going to get an agro-industrial zone. And so government is coming to take land, and then we're going to develop it. We'll extend water, electricity, we'll do the roads and everything. And then we'll encourage Ghanaian businessmen and foreigners to come and set up factories, so that we can buy the rice from the farmers, mill it here. We can buy the maize from the farmers, cassava, whatever you produce, we will process it here before it goes out into the market. And so that's the agro-industrial zones. Aside from that, for young people, we have the 24-hour economy. We're going to encourage businesses to work 24 hours a day, 8 shifts a day, and so one job would have 3 shifts and it will employ 3 people, so that more people can get work to do. We believe that is going to be the game changer, and it's going to create more avenues for our young people to get employment. NDC is the party that when we're in government, people feel safe and they're able to go about their business. Unfortunately, since
well, let me now take you live to the campaign grounds, and Maswell Agbagba is standing by for us. So Maswell, tell us where exactly your location and then what has been happening so far.
Do their work and produce food for this country.
NDC parliamentary candidate has been addressing the crowd here. He, amongst the things he has been talking about, just when he started his speech here, he touched on the recent poll by some research institutions, and he says
some research institutions, and he says that every credible poll has mentioned that the NDC is winning the December elections. He says because of that, the NPP is also putting out what he describes as fake polls. He says all the credible polls put the NDC in the lead, and he says that has compelled the NPP to also put out some what he describes as fake polls. He says that he's confident that the NDC is going to win the December elections, and he believes in the polls being released by institutions he considers credible. He's been speaking right now, but let's speak to Fatau Karande. He's the Deputy Youth Regional Youth Organizer here in the Northeast region. Hi, Fatau, how are you doing?
Thank you. I'm good. I'm fantastic. Yeah. It's a very charged atmosphere here in Bentry.
We're in the home region of the NPP presidential candidate, Dr. Mahmoudou Bawumia. Tell me, what has the work been like for you here in this region?
If you mention Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia in this region, I tell you, it has been a total failure for the people of this region. Why do I say that? The youth have no hope. The farmers have no hope. The market women have no hope. As I tell you, the region, this is a region that has about 60-70%, if I'm not mistaken, of farmers. And come to think of it, let's go to agriculture. What have Dr. Bawumia done to help the farmers in this area? High cost of farm inputs is what is the order of the day now. Currently, everybody is struggling. How much was fertilizer, for instance, 6-7 years ago? Currently, how much? It has crossed over 700 cedis. So if a farmer has to use inputs, very high inputs, to get in there through his farming, finish, how much is he going to cost it? How much is he going to get? The cost of fuel, look at the tractor service, for instance, to go straight to the farms. These are all areas that the youth and the farmers in this area will not forgive Dr. Bawumia, not only disappointed in Dr. Bawumia, but will not forgive him. He campaigned at the back of the impoverished areas. In fact, this is one of the poverty areas, if you look at it. Statistics has shown, Ghana Statistical Service data shows that this region is one of the poorest regions in the country. What has Dr. Bawumia done to alleviate the poor? What has Dr. Bawumia done to help the youth in this country? Except taxes and more taxes.
Finally, before we listen to John Mahama.
My mind is actually...
Exactly. In 30 seconds, what are the chances of the NDC in this region, in the Northeast?
I give you Northeast region where we are going 6 over 6.
6 over 6. You're going to win all
6. We are going to go for Chereponi. Honorable Alajo will go for Chereponi. Mark it on the wall. Honorable Jobless Sulemana will go for Yunyo. Alaji Baba Sedu, the people's man, will go for Naliru Gambaga. You can see the crowd, the mammoth crowd that are here supporting. Honorable Abed will go for Bunkurugu. Then Honorable Abuba will go for Walwale. Then Honorable Sibri, our own brother.
How many seats?
We have 6 constituencies.
Yeah, you have 6 constituencies. I know. How many seats do you have here currently?
Currently, we have 2.
You have 2.
We have 2.
And you're
but
hoping to win 6
signal today. We are winning that 6 over 6.
Thank you very much for talking.
Thank you very much.
Okay, great. You just heard Fatau Karande. He's a deputy regional. He's a deputy regional youth organizer for the NDC. But the NDC presidential candidate John Mahama is speaking right now, so we can listen to him.
Our economic policy, it means that people are going to work day and night, and that means that people must feel safe and secure to be able to go to work, and that means that security is important. And so we're going to recruit more of our young people into the police service and the military. And when it's time to recruit, we're not going to sit in Accra and recruit. We'll come region by region so that everybody has an equal opportunity to be able to join the security services. Our police officers are doing well, but they don't have what they need to be able to fight the armed robbers. They don't have vehicles. Sometimes the armed robbers have more powerful weapons than the police. And everybody knows that NDC is the government that comes and equips our police and our military to be able to keep us safe. And so when NDC comes, I'm telling the armed robbers, we're going to give the police the correct vehicles, we're going to give them the weapons, we're going to give them bulletproof vests. We're going to give them all the equipment they need to be able to combat armed robbery. Because this cannot continue. Our mothers go to the market and sell their goods. When they are coming back, the armed robbers stop them and steal their mobile phones, take all their money away from them. And they have to come and start life afresh. We're going to make that a thing of the past. NDC is going to fight armed robbery and make sure that we are safe in our own country and can go about our work without fear of being attacked.
Right, so live from the Northeast region, that's the NDC's flag bearer for election 2024, John Dramani Mahama. And you heard my colleague, Marcel Agbaba, who is traveling with the former president. We are still on your election headquarters. Let me take you to the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi, where the presidential candidate, independent presidential candidate, under the umbrella of Movement for Change, paid a courtesy call on the Asante a while ago to begin some campaign activities in the region. Let me bring in Yabwabena Samoa, a leading member of Movement for Change. Yeah, good afternoon, welcome. So I saw the video of you at the Manshia Palace, getting the blessing of the Asante to start this project. Where exactly are you and what has been the reception so far?
Well, as we speak, we are at the Central Mosque in Kumasi, where Mr. Chemating is meeting the Sarakin, Zongo, and Imams.
Hello? Yes, I can hear you, Yao.
Yes. Essentially, what it is about is the first leg of Mr. Chemating's innovative caravan tour, where he's meeting communities across the country. And starting literally across all the 16 regions of the country, and campaign teams will be moving all over the country. But as we speak, this morning he has to come and inform the Asante about his intention and to start off in the Asante region. So he met the Asante and a very interesting, very interesting observation came from them. First of all, they accept the GTP wholeheartedly. They believe that the GTP is that which will resolve and help resolve the issues we face in the country. The second thing is that whilst accepting the GTP, they kept saying that it's important that Ghanaians hear what Mr. Chemating has to say. Ghanaians hear what Mr. Chemating has for them. And in that sense, Ghanaians must be made aware, because the underlying fear and factor is that though Ghanaians believe in Mr. Chemating, there is a rumor going around, and this is from the chiefs in Malaysia. There's a rumor going around that Mr. Chemating, good as he is, may not be able to win because he doesn't have the numbers. But if all of them who accept the GTP vote for him, then in actual fact, he has the numbers. So Mr. Chemating was encouraged to tell Ghanaians his story, and through the telling of the story, it would persuade and encourage Ghanaians to vote for him. They believe in the quality of the story. They believe in the GTP. They believe that is what will make a difference in Ghana's politics at the moment. And they accepted wholeheartedly that Mr. Chemating has a solid message. Now, they are persuaded and encouraging Mr. Chemating to make sure he reaches every place in Ghana. And that is why the community and caravan approach is so important and critical. Because from the way he is set off, Mr. Chemating is poised to meet Ghanaians in their communities, Ghanaians in their towns, Ghanaians in their villages, Ghanaians in their farms, Ghanaians in their markets, in their lorry parks, in their workplaces. And that is the essence of the campaign he set off on. At
the Manshia Palace, when Mr. Chemating spoke, he made mention of the fact that, I mean, research done by groups indicates high voter apathy. I mean, people are just not willing to go out to vote in December. I'm wondering how you are hoping to change the narrative, especially for those who are so disappointed with the kind of leadership we've been saddled with since 1992 and have decided they don't vote again. How are you preaching to such individuals so that they can change their mind?
Okay, can you come back to me?
Yeah, so I asked earlier, I mean, I heard Mr. Chemanten at the Malaysia Police make reference to the fact that research suggests that some people have decided that they will not vote in the upcoming election. I'm wondering the message you are preaching to such individuals to change their mind.
Yes, exactly. What Mr. Chemanten is saying and what our campaign has observed so far is that many people are saying that they will not bother to vote because they are disappointed by the duopoly. The duopoly has not delivered over 32 years. They are still struggling with basic necessities of life, and in particular where the youth are concerned, they literally lost hope in politics, much more political leadership, and therefore they simply are looking on. They don't trust politicians anymore, and they don't want to vote. We have conducted scientific polls, and we are coming up all the while with these statistics that more or less 7 out of every 10 Ghanaians feel disappointed by politics so far and are not willing to vote. So Mr. Chemanten needs to tap into that group. Mr. Chemanten's message resonates with that group. Mr. Chemanten is in a position where that group is willing, ready, and able to accept what he's telling them. And then what he's telling them is that there is hope because public policy can be used to turn things around. And he has examples.
Okay.
The public policy doesn't involve borrowing money. And he has examples. Public policy simply works because the policy attracts business. The policy attracts investment. And he has examples. The easiest and biggest example he has is the automotive policy, where he looked at the Ghanaian economy, determined that the largest foreign exchange consumer was importation of vehicles, both used and new. And so he decided that he would craft a policy to localize manufacturing, assembly of vehicles. And within 1.5 years, without borrowing money from the IMF, we now have 5 automated assembly vehicles in Ghana. At the time, an almost impossible feat.
All right.
So you have Nissan, Toyota, Honda, Kia, Petro, you name it.
The telephone is get the quality. Yes. Okay. Let's leave it here. Maybe we will continue because of where he is. He's getting drowned by the noise in the background. Yeah, Babina, thank you so much. And of course, since you're going to be in the region for a while, we'll touch base with you as we do more for the political parties. But before we wrap up, Ghana's premier 5-star hotel and your CIMG hospitality facility of the year, Labadi Beach Hotel, brings you another exciting edition of the biggest beer festival in the world, Oktoberfest Beer Festival 2024. Now, what you want to know about this event that promises to be all fun and entertaining? In the studio here with me is the head of sales at Labadi Beach Hotel, George IEC, as we look at Oktoberfest. Mr. IEC, you're welcome.
Thank you, Elton.
First, how is Labadi doing?
We're doing very well. I mean, everyone is fine. Work is ongoing. We're also getting the support and enjoying the goodwill of the patrons that come to Labadi. So
the last time I was there, we had some really nice tilapia.
I'm happy to hear this.
Yeah, really nice.
I'll let the chef know.
So, Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
And it has a relation with beer.
It does.
So, tell me about it.
Well, so Elton, thank you for the opportunity. This is one of the biggest beer festivals in the world that originated from Munich.
Right.
And every year, in the last over 213, 14 years, it has been celebrated in Munich. And I can tell you this year, particularly, it's like a 2 weeks festival. And it started on 21st September and it's ending on Sunday, the 6th of October. And so as we speak now, Oktoberfest is ongoing. And this attracts not less than 6 million people globally into Munich. And it's the biggest festival. What we have done is, in the past and also this year, we have done this party here at Labadi Beach Hotel, replicated everything that happens in Munich back here home at Labadi. And it's the biggest beer festival. Normally when we go through this, we do an assessment of whether people really want to have more. And I tell you, Alton,
they want more.
They wish it was a continuous thing throughout the whole year. And so this year it's happening again this weekend.
So this is just a beer party?
No, it's a festival and it has a lot of fun activities.
Tell me about it.
Oh, yeah, of course. So now you come to Oktoberfest, you're going to have basically, in terms of the culinary experiences, German traditional dishes. And so you have our chef around this time, they are preparing more German dishes. It comes with a variety that you can have. You know, the Germans love their sausages, their pork, their chicken, and it's been done the way you will enjoy it by Chef Akwete, the head chef, and his team. Likewise, the beers that are coming, a number of beers. So you have them assembled in one place. And again, Oktoberfest is all fun.
Right.
So we fly in the band from Munich.
All the way from Germany?
All the way from Germany. So we have the Bayern Boys Band who are going to provide the entertainment.
Okay.
And like I'm saying, it's not just about the beer, because there are people who don't drink beer, but also what it provides you is the opportunity to learn some German culture, their food, their drinks, the way they dress. Because Oktoberfest also has a particular dress code, but again, we make it so casual here, and it's nice.
I was just going to ask about it, because you know, the way they've institutionalized this in Germany, especially Munich,
yes.
I mean, it has affected every aspect of the Munich life, even including Bayern Munich.
Yes.
That, I mean, for the football team, they have a special day that it is dedicated to beer.
Exactly.
And it comes with a certain dress code, the
That's
skirt and everything. I don't know whether it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing. So the
that
dress,
will be happening here.
That's what we do here. So the dress for the ladies, we call it Bavarian Dirndl. And then the gentlemen wear what we call Lederhosen. That's the official dress code for Oktoberfest. Now, not many of our people here have it. And so, I mean, just be comfortable in anything that you can wear. And I assure you, the band are arriving tonight. And once they come in tomorrow, they are just rehearsing to give us the most amazing Oktoberfest that we've ever had at Labadi Beach Hotel on Friday and Saturday. And
this coming Friday?
This very
and
Friday
Saturday.
and Saturday. Yes.
Apart from the band, any other entertainment on the side?
Oh, yeah, yes. Like I said, there's a lot of fun activities you'll be having. You know, we have a few logs that has nails with them. And you know, you'll be competing with one another to see who is able to get it right and nail. And then you've got also a few other fun activities there that you can really have fun. But most importantly, Elton, what this affords is being part of a whole experience from Germany, even though you've not traveled to Germany,
of course,
to be part of it. And in terms of the crowd that we are having, you have basically the diplomatic and then the foreign community, because this is their festival, and they love to see a company and a hotel like Labadi will be able to do it to perfection. So
and then it's also open to everybody.
It is open. It is open. It is open. So this is a time to relive the German burger life again. Those who have German connections to be back at Labadi Beach Hotel, Oktoberfest. You have ambassadors, you have high commissioners, you have members from the diplomatic corps, you have the German community, and all other people, and especially lovers of beer, lovers of German food. It's a time to learn something new. You know, like we say, it's a global world.
Of course, and of course, and I also know that it's not an indoor thing; it's an open air, which means that a lot of space for you to move around.
That's the thing. So we're having this at the Sub Pavilion at the hotel, and it's an amazing site. I mean, the setup when it is done, I'm sure we'll be able to share some pictures and videos in the coming days. It's really beautiful, and I've said that the platform also allows for a lot of networking and business discussions, even though because you're meeting the best of the people in the business and in the corporate world there. So the place to be this weekend is Labadi Beach Hotel, Oktoberfest.
And if you take in so much, of course, you have rooms to accommodate.
Oh, certainly. We have a lot of rooms. We've given a lot of discounts. So once you come in, you want to spend the night, I mean, that's allowed.
And how much would it cost me to come?
That's the question I get to ask anytime at all we put this together. You know, there's a lot of cost to it in terms of you bringing the band and
from
all
Germany,
that. But we want to make this go as big as we can. And so every year we have done this with the support of, this is a good time to say thank you to Multimedia.
Sure.
You have come, I mean, you've given us the platform to promote this. And then also Brussels Airline, our biggest supporters, they normally bring in the band. And we have also on board TV3 who are coming. So it's not going to be ticketed events where you need to pay or buy. But once you book your table, you come in there, you pay for your food, your drinks, that's it. But you need to call and reserve a table.
Of course.
Because it's going to be a lot of people. We need to ensure that everything is
and
ordered.
Reserving the table means that you have to come with other people.
That's the point. That's the way you have to come. It's a good time to come with, I mean, your friends in the office. I mean, you've been working throughout the month, throughout the whole year, throughout the whole week. And I think it's a great weekend to
go down and
have a few sips and some taste of the German.
So Friday time?
It starts at exactly 6:30. And then the band take off at 7. And then the band will be entertaining us throughout the night till after midnight. Now, one of the very attractive things is that you have the mayor of the community who will come in Munich, who will come and do the opening ceremonies to signify that the festival has opened here at Labadi. And we're blessed this time to have also the deputy ambassador of the German embassy to be with us, who will be doing the opening, and immediately they are done, then the band will take over, and it's all fun. This Friday 4th, and then on the 5th, which is Saturday, at Labadi Beach Hotel.
All right.
So if you need tables, what you do is that you call our numbers 0249 532 866, 0244747670, and our team are on standby to pick your calls, and we'll see you on Friday for fun.
And Labadi is actually the place to be.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Isi, thank you so much for coming.
Absolute pleasure.
We'll
Thank you.
On Friday.
I hope I'm going to see you.
Of course, I'll be there at the Oktoberfest.
Yes.
All right. So, Mr. Isi is from the Labadi Beach Hotel. The Oktoberfest is this Friday and, of course, on Saturday. So, call and reserve a table for you and your parties to have fun for this event. That's how we'll end the show today. But for more stories, log on to our website, myjoyonline.com. We have Kwajong Piani, former Chief of Staff, asking that government find a solution to the Galamsey and forget about political losses. My name is Elton Brobe. Whatever you are up to in the hours ahead, I hope it's profitable. Enjoy your evening and take care.